Uh, Good afternoon. I would like to introduce Michal Postranecky. He's an architect working in Florida, according to his bio. And he's going to talk about the concept of opt-out in relationship to the cities of the future. So, welcome.
Thank you. So, good afternoon. Uh, Before I start to talk, I would like to thank you, the organizers, to invite me, and for the trust that I will know what I am talking about, because it's definitely a theme or topic which we are not talking every day about. So, just small intro about myself. I'm an architect. Yes, I am living last 19 years in the United States, recently in Florida. This is my biggest project I ever did in my life, which is the building here. You can see here, and it was quite interesting experience. Now I'm coming back and forward. Last 3 years I am collaborating with Czech Institute of Informatic, Robotic and Cybernetic here in Prague, on Prague 6 with Professor Mařík. And he gave me opportunity to open a center of the city of the future, which means we are bringing partners together. It's an academic platform, neutral, politically neutral, we don't care who is who. And it is actually a neutral platform also to our vendors. So we have vendors from, of course, from commercial side, from business, but we also have a lot of municipalities. We have a lot of academics working with us. So we are trying to connect it together. And one of our themes, of course, our topic we are talking about is also a distributed services, shared services, and then so on. And we are talking about how we should organize the city of the future. So when I am talking about cities of the future, I'm always looking to the past, how our predecessors really saw our future. And maybe there'll be some things they saw very precisely. You can see this picture is showing cities growing up to the high vertical cities. They expected to use a lot of planes. In today, where we are talking about drones and using some kind of transportation through the air. And I like this picture because it says something about micromobility we are trying to solve today. And it's very important topic again for today's cities, because we are trying to opt out the transportation using cars inside the cities, inside the downtowns. And we are talking a lot about micromobility, but as you can see today, cities have a problem with all those bikes, and then they actually, their reactions are always the first reactions. Okay, we will say they cannot operate here. This is the easiest way. But what is the real opportunity for the future? How we can really opt out from those vehicles where you have one person on 2x3, so let's say on 6 square meters going through the town. Well, what this picture also says, and that's my question, how it's going to look in the future if we will allow everybody to use something like this, some kind of micromobility transportation vehicle. And what if it will be autonomous? So you don't even have to do anything, just it will go anywhere we say it will go. And so it will be accessible for everybody. So what may happen is the street will be full of that. I mean, the city will be full of those robotically automated, autonomously driverless vehicles. What's going to happen next? This is interesting picture. Now, those two pictures are actually, those renderings were done by the company which is called Otis. Otis is elevator company. They do lifts till today. Even in my building, we have actually Otis over there. But what is interesting how they saw the future in the past. So they hoped that we will separate all those fast vehicles and then slow going vehicles and then pedestrians, and we will have nice green areas on the floor of the city, of the open city space. And it didn't happen, of course. We are still in one space, and we will have to find some solution. We will really have to find what to do for the future, because that space is more and more crowded, and people are the last one who are actually allowed to that space, because there are all those vehicles there. So what are we going to do in the next? And I always say I believe we will, again, with that autonomous driverless cars and other things, I believe we will have to really find out how to change the whole space in the city. And then I'm talking about new Osmanization of cities. Osman was architect who changed Paris from 1853 to 1870. It may happen again in our futures, different way, of course. I'm not saying we will go and we will take down downtowns of our beautiful cities. Musk is not the first one who is doing Hyperloop. There was so many ideas before, but again, if I'm talking, we are trying to free the land and move everything somewhere else. But I don't know, is it really opportunity for our country? Because, our D1, we call it highway, but really it's more parking space for the cars between Prague and Brno. So are we really able to do that? It's very interesting. This is a very interesting picture to me. I always heard about moving sidewalks. I never know what they mean. I always meant that it's sidewalk which will be moving. But this is what actually was their imagination, their vision of the moving sidewalk. And is this an opportunity we can use for our cities? I don't know. Probably not. Not maybe somewhere in some theme park or somewhere else. But again, they were trying to solve somehow the future transportation inside the cities, and you see the same here. Again, a couple of levels. So, but the problem is it's very expensive, and we just don't have technology to do it. We do have technology, but we don't have really opportunity to do it in our city. And so, if you go to Los Angeles or somewhere else, you can see many layers of intersections and highways, but even there it's a problem. But this is our vision, not mine, but I just took it from internet, but this is some of visions of the city of the future today. So what they are doing is we are moving from the country, from villages. Everybody is moving into the city. I'm not saying everybody, but many people is moving into the city space, and we have to go higher. We have a lot of regulations today coming from master plan, but saying we cannot go, specifically, for example, in Prague, we cannot go higher, more than 150 meters, and so on and so on. I think we have to go much higher, and then buildings will be much bigger, because all that climate change issue and other things. So we will try to probably in the future accommodate more functions in bigger structures. But we will see what's going to happen next. This is one of other interesting pictures of the future city. This guy it's famous French guy, architect, who is doing all kind of these renderings, and we are trying to move. He's saying we will go and move to the ocean, and we are trying to basically occupy other unoccupied areas, because cities will have to probably, if the truth is that ocean will raise up a couple of meters, maybe in the future, there's a lot of cities on the coast and they will have to move somewhere. So and this is the version of city on the ocean actually. So this is our ability where we are right now. We are connecting everything. We do really have a lot of technology. We can talk to each other across the ocean. My work, 70% of my work is done over the internet. I'm using, of course, WhatsApp. It was Skype before, or other different communication tools. So I can really reach and manage many things in one time. One of things we are also doing right now is working with the guys from health department and then from that health industry, and we are working on telerehabilitation. We even build up one unit which will be introduced next week for one fireman who was injured. He is not able to move too much, but now we will be rehabilitating him with foundation which is called Regibase. We just prepared this unit. It's like container solution, and we brought it to his house, so he doesn't have to go every day to exercise and rehabilitate. So we brought it to him, and now we are. This is not a picture, of course, but we are the man who is rehabilitating, or woman who is rehabilitating with him, who's is using just very simple things, and then they have face-to-face contact. He can always control him if posture and then everything is right, if we do things right. So we have a huge opportunity to talk to each other and we can find new type of businesses, but we can also find new type of services and way how to do things. What this is right now big for many cities around the world, and sometimes I think that we don't talk about anything else than about so-called smart cities. I call it Smart City 007, as a James Bond, he has all those tools, and I also wrote, of course, a couple of articles about smart cities, but I didn't expect it will grow to this, I would say, I don't know, would call it nicely, but to this situation that everybody talks about smart city and that it's everything. You can talk about everything. It's always smart city. So, but true is we are implementing technology into anything what we can. So it's smart energy networking, smart metering, compute, automotive industry, medical. I was talking about that. All industry. Which is using a different team, which is called, our name for them, it's called Industry 4.0. It's basically the same. They have the same principles. Everything is connected to everything. There's a vertical and horizontal connection, human to robot, robot to human. You will see further what I am meaning by that. And the truth is, it's helpful, of course. We know how to organize things better. We know we can dig a lot of data. So I have better knowledge about existing cities. Use it using BIM, Building Information Management tools, and software, so I can build, project new cities or new buildings through those tools. I can share everything with everybody on the team, which is very, very good. But the truth is that when I started, I had to draw everything by hand, and my brain was working with my hand. It was very quick. It is still very quick connection, but we are losing this skill, and sometimes we are focusing only on shape of the building, and then and how everything will be connected inside. And we are losing knowledge about how it should be organized inside, so it works for the people. And the same is with the city. I am the Čirk, the building where I am right now, Prague 6, is actually, the building won some prize for architecture, but it's very difficult for us to live inside that building. They call it smart building, but it's not really smart because, so always the, how do you call it, reality, shades are always moving up and down how they want, there's not either one switch, or so you cannot switch on and off simply by your light. Everything is controlled by something. It doesn't work always. But I have space like this, and above me is a kitchen. And when they end they work, I can hear everything going out because nobody was thinking about how to insulate everything. So technically, it's a very smart building, but my guests think they are sitting under the toilets, and there's 1,000 people coming in one side and putting all what they have inside themselves, they put in one time. So we are losing sometimes that knowledge to the technology because that. So I think there still should be some. I believe there should be some. We should focus more on our skills, own skills, as a people, not about what we can do only with technology. This is what is, of course, this better than me probably. This is about IoT. Everything will be connected with everything. Everything will be talking to everything. So, and we can use it for any type of industry and then any type of things we have. We were on ourselves. So we will, of course, be also monitor. We are already monitor. Big Brother knows everything about us. How we can, avoid it, I don't know. I don't think there's even possibility to be. There's no possibility to be watched 24/7, and we are relying more and more on the technology, even on those variables. I don't have any right now. But I have phone, and technically everything what we are talking here about can hear somebody else, and it could be used against me if I say something, maybe in the future. So what is the reality check? It's this. This picture, to me, is showing so we have some kind of opportunity. That's what we are right today, what we are now, today. See, nobody talks to anybody, almost. Maybe you have different experience, but if you go to metro or if you use tram or some transportation service, what you see is people watching to their mobile phones or computers or something else, and then they almost don't connect to each other. You go to small kids are in sandbox are just playing with so this is where we are right now. And again, I am using those two pictures. This is what we are creating right now. What is happening slowly, but this is really happening. You are younger, much younger than I am, but I don't think we really want this. we have to be able to have an opportunity to not be connected 24/7 to technologies, and we have to survive without that. This picture is from 54, if I'm right. 1950. This was issued this magazine at 1954. It basically shows what may happen in the future. So robots are revolting against people, against humans, because in the future we will be talking about robots' rights, how we will collaborate to each other, how we coexist to each other. And what I did is, for a friend of mine who was writing some book about future cities, so I did a couple of illustrations. So before I talk about options on the opt-out for small cities, I'll show you what I think is about the future city, about the future people, because cities are really mirror of their users. They don't exist if they don't have users. Till now, of course. In the future, we may have some automated cities, but let's don't talk about those. Those are structures, they can operate without humans in the future. We already have some structures like that, but they are more industrial structures than cities. So what we are doing right now, we are creating, I call it roboticus, Homo roboticus, just for alternation to Homo sapiens. And we rely on that. We believe it's actually a great idea. But of course, it's not going to happen from one day to other day, from day to day. It will go slowly. Now we are able to put a lot of additions to our body. We are able to put a lot of sensors in our bodies, alternate some kind of parts of our bodies. All that we know. We have technology now, a lot of technology. But the problem is that, for example, in the United States where I live, you have a huge problem with people who rely and live on drugs. I mean drugs as heroin. I mean the normal drugs, prescription drugs from the medical drugs, and then there's no real focus on their what I said, psychic side. And then you see there's a lot of shooting, and there's a lot of mass shooting, which is, of course, popularized a lot. That's why everybody heard about America. In America, everybody's shooting to everybody, it looks like, but there are mass shootings, and those people are mostly crazy. It's not about the guns, it's about those people who are really getting crazy. That's very, very, very sad. We are able to, right now, we will be talking a lot about human-to-robot collaboration. This is our real future, which is coming right now. It doesn't have to be a robot like this, but it can be just software. It's still it's all powered by AI. They probably know more than me about AI, but this is where we are looking right now. We're going. There's a lot of even in recent days nowadays we are talking about partnership between human and between a robot. Some of elder people, for example, they are using toys which are looking very, very realistically, very similar, they look alike small doggies or some kind of pets. And they help those old people. They help them to not be alone, so they can survive their days. And they have some partner to talk to. So I believe it's very important to have friends, and maybe our friends will be more robotically AI-powered things. But what we really need to do is, in the future, we have to build an infrastructure, technical infrastructure for all those new guys which will surround us. And everybody says, okay, in 5 years we can drive everybody in autonomous cars, driverless cars. And it will help us a lot. It's not really true. We will find a couple driverless cars which will be able to drive through the cities, but not all of them, because for all of them we need completely different infrastructure than we have today. And we will be relying a lot on things like 5G technology, which has to be spread, all those beacons has to be spread around us in the town. So signal is not weak somewhere, so it function the proper way. And it will take many, many years. So yes, there will be some autonomous driverless cars, but I believe much sooner there may be a lot of different things around us. A lot of, I'm not saying robots looking like this, but normal small things which will be running around you, and you will not know what's their function for, but there may be even more robots like that, more than people on those streets. And this is the future we have to count on, because it's going to happen. Right now, I think it was in Atlanta, they were solving a problem. If small robots which is wearing pizza to his client, good, I can end it immediately. Just tell me how long you want me to talk, and so the pizza is going through town, crossing the crosswalk. Now, who has the right of the way on the crosswalk? Pizza robot or car? Or no, you would say it's normal. It's simple solution. No, pizza robot has a why? In the future, they will have to communicate. In the future, we may not have even some crosswalks, because why we would have crosswalk if my body through some tools is communicating with all those cars. There will be one mesh network somehow connected together. Information from me will be about me will be immediately somewhere else. But what if I don't want anybody to have information about me moving through the town? It's something that we have to really find out how to solve this problem. How we can opt out from those technical, the word when everybody knows everything about myself and they can use this information. This is just a picture I was trying to talk about. We talk about gender a lot here. I don't know if here, but in US there's a lot about. There's a woman, there's a man, and there's some couple. I don't know how many, 20 genders. Also, what they are able to define. But what we will be talking about are new kind of relationships between people and a robot to robot, and even our relationship is changing. You can see it. It's completely different. It was many years ago. So what we are creating, really, to me, how I see it is I call it cybernetic digital twin. So for the future cities, we are really talking about digital twins of cities. So we will be able to manipulate or function or turn off and turn on some functions in the city. So we are using technology to connect everything to everything. As I said, we have sensors in everything, so we can control the usage, and so it's perfect. The problem is that if you centralize this control, it's extremely dangerous, because somebody can take over control over it. So what I am working right now, and I'm proposing, we have to find some, I call it opt-out. We have to find some way how to not be dependent. How we don't depend on big guys or companies really owning the cities, because if they want, they turn on the gas, they turn off gas or electricity, You have no opportunity to then to do what they say. You have to pay them whatever they say. So we are working on, I call it off-grid solution or island solution. And we are focusing with my group in that Center of the City Future. We are really focusing on on solutions when you can really opt out from those big companies and big technology guys and have your own solution for the cities of size 500,000, 5,000 people, which is half of the population living actually in Czech Republic. In Central Bohemian region, they are our partners in our center, there's about 1,000 small villages and cities having about 1,000 people only. It's a lot of people living there, and they rely on those big guys, but because they bought all that technology, all that infrastructure, most of them in most cities, they own it, so they cannot do what they want. You have to ask somebody if you want to put your PV photovoltaic unit. You have to ask. You cannot just do it. You cannot be supplier to the electric grid. Even you make it. And we are talking about smart grid, so-called smart grid. When you are not only user or you don't buy, but you supply back that electricity, or you can. So it means you have let's say you have a factory or or you have network of your institute around the Czech Republic and world, and you should be able to send your energy you actually made on your property and send it to somebody else on the other side of the city, which is normal. It should be normal. But you cannot do this now because the big guys says, no, you cannot do it because we own that infrastructure. So you sell it to them for small money and they sell it back to you for big money. So it's nonsense. So we are trying to find out how to create those island solutions for cities, for water, specifically for water and electricity. Because if you don't have water and electricity, you cannot survive, basically. And we are trying to do it not on, I'm not saying always on the property of the city, but we are trying to do that in some surrounding, okay? Okay, I have to stop talking, so I'm sorry I cannot tell you everything what I want, but it would be a couple of hours more.
Thank you so much. Applause for him, please.
Okay.
Do you have any question?
May I have one more thing?
Yes,
What
of
I
course.
didn't talk about is cryptocurrency and things. I didn't talk about distributed system we want to use in the future to control our politics and money. So I'm sorry, I forgot.
No problem.
About time, so.
Thanks for the talk. The question that I have is, in the past, the reasons because the big cities started to grow was because of centralization matter. But nowadays, with internet, we are decentralizing a little bit. I mean, you still have the factories, but we don't need these central monetary centers anymore. So do you think that the cities are still going to grow in the same speed or more decentralization around?
So this is an interesting question. 20 years ago, before I moved out to the United States, I was working for a small city, Votice. And the biggest issue was that people are moving out from that small city, going out to the bigger cities. So I call it gravitation power of those big cities. They just, suck everything in. 20 years later, the biggest issue for the future is that in about 2050, there'll be 70% people living in big cities. That's what they say, what UN says. in our region, I don't think that everybody would like to move to city. There's many people moving out. When internet started, I mean, not when it started, but in my time, 24 years ago, I had an office in Prague, and I let my employees, I told one employees one day, no, I'm not going to pay for offices here for you because you are just, playing games here. And if I'm not here, I was traveling a lot, and I find out that they are doing nothing there. But they are using actually my office for doing their work. So I said, no, I'm shutting down the office. So I gave to 3 of those employees, I had about 15, but I said, bye-bye, I don't need you more. So I gave 3 of my employees a computer, and I told them, you work from home. And I moved from Prague, I moved 50 kilometers out. I was in the middle of the nowhere. The only problem was that internet in that time, it was a modem working through telephone, so half megabyte. It was very, very slow, and our drawings are big, so it was a little bit difficult. But in the future, I'm talking, so we have the same problem, saying people are leaving our small towns, going to big cities, and then they ask me, how would you solve it? I said, very simply, just, export work from big cities to the countryside. And how we will do it? And so you have internet, you have so many opportunities to do that. And also, you can set up those small hubs. I call it hubs on the wheels. You just go out and set up some provisional hub over there. When I was really small, even before, there were buses going with books, libraries. There were buses going with they were doing tooth surgeries. And you have buses now going, they are, even in the United States right now, you can find out taking your blood or checking your blood or your sugar. So there's a lot of opportunities we can use. But people are always interested to go to cities because there are different kind of opportunities. And of course, you can do robotic orchestra playing, in a known symphony hall, but you can transfer this experience through the internet, but you don't have the same feelings. Like we are talking to each other right now, we are using some expressions, and you can understand what I'm saying because I'm also using my hands, but this is different world if you just do everything through the internet. So that's why you go to city, probably. But there's a lot of people who want to go out. Sorry.
So thanks for the talk. About micromobility, cars in the streets. So the future that a lot of people are talking about is that we have electrical cars and that we have electrical scooters or whatever. But what I'm seeing, what I find, it's not very attractive to me that we are now changing the fuel cars to the electric cars and have even more cars in the streets, plus autonomous cars. Do you think the story of owning a car can be can be changed to a story of shared mobility? What would be a nice incentive for people to stop owning one car and be the only person in the car, to share the car with other people and to reduce traffic so we have better air, more space and nicer cities?
So you probably know, you have, thank you for a question. It has actually a couple, it's a variety of answer, because you said sharing cars. Sharing cars, you mean that other people are using also your car. That's what you mean, probably.
In the first place, actually.
Yeah, because sharing cars also mean that you don't have to own car, you just use some sharing service.
Yeah. Because otherwise, I don't think it's very attractive. It's only attractive to the car dealers, for the car companies to give out shared cars, which are actually not.
So I always say, it's a great idea to share cars, of course, but let's start with updating our regular transportation service, make nice seats, make it so it doesn't smell inside. So start here, because it's completely different if you are using tram or bus or metro, and you have 100 people inside it. And then when everybody will be able to use his own car or somebody else's car, because you are not really solving problem with. I even think that having all those driverless cars give opportunity to everybody to travel. So what is going to happen, that picture when everybody was on that micro-mobility in that bubble, I believe that it will be even worse than today. So we will have to find out how we will regulate this situation. So you can have shared service, but you will not be able to use it because there's too many cars already. So this okay, no more vehicles inside this, let's say downtown or inside the zone. So but I want to go there. So there'll be a lot of interesting questions. How many? How much? How many minutes? 2 minutes? 3 minutes, okay. I think it's a real huge problem waiting for us. And then also you said electricity. This is the other thing. We are only going a lot to electricity-powered car, but we have other opportunities. I think that there's much better solution than electricity, because we will be again we depend on the big guys who will actually. So it's not actually the opportunity opt out for our recent solution. Yes, it's probably a little bit better for environment, but on the other side, you have to have batteries. How we will liquidate those batteries? Nobody talks about that really. And then you are making cars somewhere else, and you are moving it here. So a lot of the CO2 behind you. So is it okay like that? Absolutely. Okay.
Sorry, I forgot the trains and trams. I like them very much, and I use them a lot. And I just think it would be a nice step to make it more attractive to people to use it more. But I think the story of owning a car is still very strong, and I think this is something we have to change.
But can you imagine that you have a lot of money? I mean, maybe you have a lot of money. But you have a lot of money, and you want to have some nice car which smells only, your way, and you have your things there, and you have to give up all that. I don't care too. I'm not using car in city. When I come here, I'm using only transportation, like tram and metro. But there's many people who are sitting every day in that car going. I'm always having fun when I'm going. I'm crossing the Kulaťák. What's the name? Vítězné náměstí. Every day. So it's a lot of crossings I'm doing. A lot of, and then there are those cars, Mercedes, Bavorák, all those big cars, one people inside. And then I need 5 minutes to go from point A to point B on the other side, and they are still there somewhere. I said, okay, good for you. But no.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Michal, for your presentation. You can stay here for the next one. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your kindness that you didn't, tell me go away. This is nothing what is not interesting. But trust me, we will change a lot in the future. So, thank you.